You tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment. You are waiting for clarity to arrive. You are waiting for motivation to align. You are waiting for a sign that the path is safe to walk. But here is the unspoken mechanism you refuse to examine. You are not waiting for the right moment. You are waiting for friction to vanish, and friction does not vanish. It only gets relocated. Every morning you wake up with the same latent capacity you carried yesterday, the same hours, the same cognitive bandwidth, the same physiological potential. But by midday, that capacity is already compromised. Not because you encountered a crisis, not because you made a catastrophic error, but because you spent the morning negotiating with the very resistance that would have converted that potential into motion. You scrolled instead of started. You researched instead of executed. You optimized your workspace instead of opening the document. You told yourself you were preparing, but preparation without initiation is just avoidance wearing a more respectable mask. Potential does not disappear in dramatic collapses. It evaporates through micro-surrenders. It leaks out through the microscopic gaps between intention and action. It dissolves every time you choose the comfortable delay over the uncomfortable first step. And the most dangerous part is that you barely register the loss. Because the decay is silent. Because the erosion is gradual. Because your nervous system has been conditioned to reward avoidance with immediate physiological relief. And relief feels indistinguishable from progress when you are afraid of the work. Let us stop using the word potential as if it is a static resource sitting in storage. Potential is not a reservoir you drain. It is a kinetic state that only exists when activated. In physics, potential energy is meaningless until it is converted into motion. A drawn bow stores energy, but it does not hit the target until the string is released. Your mind operates on the exact same principle. Latent capacity without directional output is just unapplied tension, and unapplied tension does not build momentum. It builds resentment. It builds the quiet, creeping belief that you are meant for more, but somehow never arrive. You are not arriving because you keep treating initiation as optional instead of mandatory. Your brain is an energy conservation engine. It does not care about your long-term vision. It cares about metabolic efficiency. When a task feels uncertain, unstructured, or cognitively heavy, your anterior cingulate cortex flags it as a threat, not a survival threat, a cognitive load threat. It predicts high energy expenditure with delayed, uncertain return. So it redirects you toward low-friction alternatives, checking messages, rearranging files, watching tutorials, cleaning your desk. These actions feel productive because they generate physical or digital motion. But motion is not progress. Motion is just energy displacement. You are burning glucose to avoid building momentum. You are trading short-term physiological comfort for long-term psychological stagnation. This is how capacity decays, not through failure, through friction avoidance. Every time you choose the easy loop over the hard line, you strengthen a specific neural pathway. You teach your basal ganglia that avoidance yields immediate relief. You teach your prefrontal cortex that complexity can be bypassed. You teach your limbic system that waiting is safer than starting. Neuroplasticity does not judge your intentions. It only records your repetitions. So your tolerance for deep work does not shrink because you lost talent. It shrinks because you stopped exposing your nervous system to sustained cognitive load. Your capacity for ambiguity does not vanish because you became weak. It vanishes because you stopped practicing uncertainty tolerance. Potential is not something you possess. It is something you exercise. And like any physiological system, it atrophies under disuse. Think about the last time you actually began something meaningful. Not planned it, not talked about it, not bookmarked it. Began it. Notice how the resistance was highest in the first 90 seconds. Notice how your brain generated a dozen plausible reasons to delay. Notice how the moment you pushed past that initial activation threshold, the tension dropped. Notice how clarity arrived only after motion began. This is not coincidence. This is predictive processing. The brain does not generate motivation before action. It generates motivation after action. Clarity follows movement. Confidence follows repetition. Direction follows friction. But you have been conditioned to expect the exact opposite. You have been taught to wait until you feel ready. and readiness is a psychological stall tactic designed to keep you stationary. The mechanism is brutally simple. High friction triggers avoidance. Avoidance triggers dopamine-mediated relief. Relief reinforces avoidance. The loop closes. The next time the task appears, the resistance is slightly stronger. The delay is slightly longer. The rationalization is slightly smoother. Over months, over years, the gap between what you could execute and what you actually execute widens. Not because you changed fundamentally, because your daily environment and your behavioral habits optimized for stillness. You did not lose your potential. You buried it under layers of friction avoidance protocols. And protocols can be rewritten, but only if you stop mistaking comfort for strategy, only if you stop treating delay as preparation, only if you recognize that every minute spent circling the work is a minute stolen from the work itself. Let us examine the daily architecture of this decay. You do not waste your potential in grand failures. You waste it in the invisible tax of micro-decisions. Every morning, your executive function begins with a finite cognitive budget. This is not metaphor. It is neurobiology. Your prefrontal cortex operates on a limited bandwidth for high-order processing. Each trivial choice, each notification, each context switch, each moment of hesitation drains that budget before you ever touch the work that actually matters. By the time you sit down to build, to create, to execute, you have already spent your best neurological currency on survival logistics. You answered emails that did not require your expertise. You optimized a schedule that will change tomorrow. You scrolled through opinions that do not impact your trajectory. You engaged in low-stakes friction that your brain mistook for productivity. This is cognitive leakage, and it is completely silent. You feel busy. You feel active. You feel like you are moving, but you are just shuffling cognitive debt. You are spending your highest value mental resources on tasks that generate zero compounding return. The trap is not laziness. The trap is misallocated activation energy. Activation energy is the initial force required to overcome inertia and enter a state of flow. In chemistry, a reaction does not proceed until the energy barrier is crossed. In human behavior, execution does not begin until the activation threshold is breached. The problem is that you treat activation energy as a variable you must constantly generate from willpower. But willpower is a depleting resource. It drops as the day progresses. It drops with stress. It drops with sleep deprivation. So you wait until you feel strong enough to cross the threshold, and you never feel strong enough. Because you are asking a fatigued system to perform a high-energy task. This is why your potential sits dormant. Not because you lack capability. Because you lack a bridge over the activation gap. You rely on motivation to provide the bridge. But motivation is weather. It is unpredictable. Building a life on motivation is like building a house on a fault line. It might stand for a season, but it will collapse under sustained load. Systems do not rely on weather. Systems rely on structural engineering. You lower the activation barrier. You remove the friction. You design the environment so that crossing the threshold requires less energy than staying stationary. You do not wait for the energy to arrive. You engineer the path so the energy is unnecessary. Look at how your day is actually structured, not how you imagine it. You place the most cognitively demanding work at the end of the day when your executive function is depleted. It is not impossible. It is architecturally opposed. You are trying to run a high-performance process on a system optimized for leakage. The friction is not in your mind. It is in your design. Modern environments exploit this vulnerability relentlessly. They fragment your cognitive continuity. Every notification is not just an interruption. It is a context switch. And context switching carries a neurological penalty. Research demonstrates that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully re-enter a state of deep focus after a single interruption. But you are not interrupted once. You are interrupted continuously. By pings, by tabs, by open loops. Your brain never reaches depth. It lives in perpetual surface scanning. It becomes a reaction engine, not a creation engine. You are not losing potential to time. You are losing it to fragmentation, to the silent erosion of cognitive continuity, to the daily tax of operating in a state of chronic partial attention. This is how days compound into years without measurable progress. Through misalignment, You treat potential as a destination you will eventually reach, but potential is a direction you must actively maintain. Direction requires vector. Vector requires sustained force in a single orientation. When you scatter your focus across 100 micro-orientations, you generate heat, not movement. You generate exhaustion, not output. You generate the illusion of activity, the reality of stagnation. Focus is not a personality trait. It is a structural condition. It is the result of removing everything that does not align with your primary vector. The mechanism of waste is complete when you mistake motion for momentum. Motion is visible. Momentum is invisible. It is compound. Your brain prefers motion because it offers quick validation. It offers the dopamine of completion without the risk of exposure. You clean your workspace instead of writing the chapter. You research instead of launching. These are safety behaviors. They protect you from the vulnerability of real output. They keep you in the preparation zone, where failure is impossible, but progress is also impossible. You are not building. You are buffering. And buffering feels exactly like working until you realize nothing has shipped. Potential decays when safety behaviors replace execution behaviors, when preparation becomes a substitute for participation, when the comfort of the loop outweighs the risk of the line. You are not losing your capacity. You are misdirecting it. You are trading long-term trajectory for short-term relief. And the market does not reward relief. It rewards output. It rewards shipped work. It rewards the willingness to cross the activation threshold and stay there long enough for momentum to take over. You do not need more time. You need less leakage. Remove the wall. Redirect the current. Watch what happens when you stop shuffling debt and start building equity. Let us examine why you remain stationary despite knowing exactly where you need to go. You are not stuck because you lack information. You are stuck because your nervous system has built a protective architecture around your inaction. Every time you delay, your brain does not register failure. It registers safety. Avoidance lowers cortisol in the short term. It signals that the perceived threat has been neutralized. Your body learns that hesitation equals survival, and survival always overrides aspiration. This is not a moral defect. This is evolutionary wiring misfiring in a modern context. Your brain treats uncertainty like a predator. It treats the unknown like a cliff. So it pulls you backward into the familiar, into the loop, into the delay. The deeper mechanism is prediction error. Your brain is a forecasting machine. When you imagine starting a difficult task, your mind generates a simulation. That simulation is rarely accurate. It amplifies difficulty. It magnifies risk. It minimizes reward. It paints the work as heavier, longer, and more punishing than it actually is. This inflated prediction creates a gap between perceived cost and actual cost. Your nervous system refuses to bridge that gap. So you wait. You tell yourself you will act when the prediction feels safer. But the prediction only feels safer after action begins. You are trapped in a feedback loop where the fear of starting prevents the experience that would dissolve the fear. The only exit is to treat the prediction as a hypothesis, not a fact. But your brain does not operate on logic. It operates on threat assessment, which always favors the known over the unknown. This is where identity calcifies. You do not just avoid tasks. You avoid the version of yourself that would have to execute them. The self-concept is not static. It is a running model updated by behavioral evidence. Every time you choose delay, you feed the model data that says you are not the type of person who initiates. Every time you retreat into preparation, you reinforce the identity of the planner, not the builder. Your brain protects consistency above all else. It will align your actions with your self-model even when that model is limiting. If your internal narrative says, "I am someone who struggles to start," your nervous system will generate friction to prove it right. It will manufacture fatigue. It will amplify distraction. You are not fighting laziness. You are fighting identity homeostasis. Consider the neurological switching cost between your default mode network and your task-positive network. The transition between these two states is not seamless. It requires cognitive energy. It requires a deliberate override of the default mode's gravitational pull. When you spend hours planning or fantasizing, you make the switch to execution increasingly expensive. Your brain becomes addicted to its own narration. It prefers the simulation of progress over the friction of actual progress. The label potential itself becomes a psychological cage. When you identify as someone with potential, you grant yourself permanent permission to remain unproven. Potential is a future tense identity. It protects you from the vulnerability of the present tense. The present tense is exposed. It is measurable. It is subject to judgment. Potential is safe. It cannot be tested. It cannot be disproven. It cannot be criticized. So you cling to it. You wear it like armor. You tell yourself you are saving your energy for the right moment. But the right moment is a phantom. It is a psychological placeholder designed to keep you in the spectator seat. Potential without execution is not promise. It is postponement. And postponement compounds into regret. The quiet, corrosive regret of never having tested the hypothesis. This is why you feel stuck. Not because the path is blocked, because you have built a sanctuary around the blockage. You have made avoidance comfortable. You have made delay rational. You have made preparation sacred. You have confused safety with strategy. Your nervous system no longer recognizes initiation as necessary. It recognizes it as optional. And optional behaviors never compound. They only accumulate. You collect ideas. You collect bookmarks. You collect half-finished drafts. You collect the quiet humiliation of knowing you are capable of more, but consistently choosing less. This is not a motivation deficit. This is a tolerance deficit. You lack tolerance for the discomfort of being a beginner. You lack tolerance for the exposure of imperfect output. You lack tolerance for the silence that follows action before validation arrives. You have trained yourself to expect applause before effort. And the world does not operate on advance payment. It operates on delivered value. Delivered value requires crossing the threshold. Crossing the threshold requires tolerating the prediction error. Tolerating the prediction error requires overriding identity homeostasis. You are not stuck. You are protected. And protection is a prison when it outlives its purpose. The mechanism is complete when you realize you are not avoiding the work. You are avoiding the self-reconstruction the work demands. Execution does not just produce output, it produces identity shift. It forces you to abandon the comfortable fiction of the latent genius. It demands you become the clumsy practitioner. It requires you to sit with the gap between taste and ability. It asks you to tolerate being bad at something you care about. Most people cannot survive that gap, so they retreat. They return to the loop. They return to the simulation. They return to the safety of untested capacity. But capacity untested is just memory waiting to fossilize. You do not need more confidence. You need more contact with reality. Reality does not care about your potential. It only responds to your output. Output requires initiation. Initiation requires overriding the protective architecture. The architecture is strong, but it is not permanent. It was built through repetition. It can be dismantled through contradiction. You do not wait for the fear to leave. You move while it is present. You do not wait for the identity to shift. You act in opposition to it. You do not wait for the prediction to align. You test it. You break the loop by refusing to negotiate with the simulation. You step into the friction. You let the discomfort speak. You do not answer it. You cross the threshold. And watch what happens when you stop protecting a version of yourself that does not exist and start building the one that does. Let us strip away the final layer of self-deception. You are not accidentally stagnant. You are systematically programmed. Programming does not require a programmer. It requires repetition. And repetition is exactly what you are delivering day after day in the quiet moments between intention and action. Every time you delay, you are not just skipping a task. You are casting a neurological vote. You are sending a signal to your basal ganglia that says avoidance is the preferred response. You are teaching your anterior cingulate cortex that friction equals threat. You are training your prefrontal cortex to surrender executive control to the limbic system. This is not metaphor. This is synaptic consolidation. Long-term potentiation strengthens the pathways you use most. Long-term depression weakens the pathways you neglect. You are not losing your potential to time. You are actively wiring your brain to reject it. Consider the physics of compounding. A 1% deviation in trajectory does not feel significant in the short term. It is invisible. It is dismissible. It is easily rationalized as a bad day, a temporary slump, a necessary pause. But compound interest does not care about your rationale. It operates on mathematical certainty. 1% deviation compounded over 300 days becomes a 30% divergence. Over 3 years, it becomes structural misalignment. Over a decade, it becomes an entirely different life trajectory. You are not experiencing a temporary plateau. You are experiencing the mathematical inevitability of your daily micro-choices. The gap between where you are and where you could be is not the result of a single catastrophic failure. It is the accumulated residue of 10,000 micro-surrenders. Each one felt harmless. Each one felt justified. Each one felt temporary. But temporary choices, repeated daily, become permanent architecture. You hide behind the myth of motivation. You tell yourself you will act when you feel driven, when the energy aligns, when the stars converge. But motivation is not a precursor to action, it is a byproduct of it. Neurochemical research demonstrates that dopamine surges not in anticipation of reward, but in the pursuit of it. The act of engagement triggers the chemical cascade that sustains engagement. Waiting for motivation is like waiting for hunger to begin cooking. The sequence is reversed. You do not feel motivated, then act. You act, then feel motivated. By reversing the sequence, you guarantee perpetual stagnation. You place the cart before the horse. You demand the emotional state before the behavioral trigger, and the brain, bound by physiological law, refuses to comply. It waits for the movement. The movement never comes. The stagnation deepens. The frustration mounts. You call it a lack of drive. It is actually a misunderstanding of causality. Dismantle the excuse of capacity. You claim you do not have enough time, enough energy, enough mental bandwidth. But capacity is not a fixed container. It is a dynamic system that expands under load and contracts under disuse. Muscle tissue hypertrophies under resistance. Neural networks densify under cognitive strain. Cardiovascular efficiency improves under sustained output. Your mind operates on identical biological principles. When you consistently operate below your cognitive threshold, your baseline capacity shrinks, your working memory narrows, your attentional span shortens, your tolerance for complexity degrades. You are not running out of resources. You are atrophying the machinery that generates them. The fatigue you feel is not the result of overexertion. It is the result of underutilization. An engine left idle does not preserve itself. It corrodes. It seizes. It loses its ability to ignite. You are not preserving your potential. You are rusting it. This is the brutal arithmetic of self-betrayal. Every broken promise to yourself is not a neutral event. It is a debt, and debt accrues interest. The interest is paid in self-trust. When you tell yourself you will start tomorrow, and tomorrow arrives with the same delay, your subconscious ledger updates. It records another withdrawal. It lowers its expectation of your reliability. It stops treating your intentions as binding contracts. It starts treating them as suggestions. And when self-trust erodes, initiative collapses. You cannot command a system that no longer believes its own commander. You are not struggling with discipline. You are struggling with credibility. You have spent years proving to yourself that you cannot be counted on. You have built a reputation with your own nervous system, and reputation dictates behavior faster than aspiration ever could. You do not need more goals. You need to restore your credit rating, and credit is only restored through consistent, verifiable delivery, not intentions. Deliveries. Recognize the training protocol you are currently running. You are not idle. You are highly active. You are actively training avoidance. You are actively reinforcing hesitation. You are actively conditioning your nervous system to interpret friction as a stop signal rather than a go signal. Athletes do not become champions by accident. They become champions through deliberate, repetitive stress adaptation. You are doing the exact same thing. You are just training the opposite outcome. You are putting in the reps. You are logging the hours. You are following a strict regimen. The regimen just happens to be designed for stagnation. You wake up, you hesitate, you delay, You rationalize. You retreat. You repeat. This is not a lack of structure. This is a highly structured routine for weakness. You are disciplined. You are just disciplined at the wrong thing. You have mastered the art of not starting. You have perfected the science of staying comfortable. You have become an expert in self-sabotage. And expertise requires consistency. You have been consistent. Do not pretend you lack discipline. You lack direction. You have been drilling the wrong muscle. You have been optimizing the wrong loop. You have been winning the wrong game. The realization must be absolute. There is no external force holding you back. There is no cosmic timing issue. There is no missing piece of information. The barrier is internal. It is structural. It is behavioral. It is the direct output of your daily operational parameters. You are the architect of your own stagnation. This is not an accusation. It is an emancipation. Because if you built the cage, you hold the key. If you programmed the loop, you can rewrite the code. If you train the weakness, you can train the strength. The mechanism is identical. The direction is reversible. You do not need a miracle. You need a mirror. You need to look at the data without flinching. You need to see the pattern without romanticizing it. You need to acknowledge that every day you spend waiting is a day you spend cementing the very reality you claim to want to escape. The pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. You are currently choosing the permanent pain because it is quieter, because it is familiar, because it demands less immediate friction. But familiarity is not safety. It is just comfort disguised as destiny. You are not destined to waste your potential. You are conditioned to waste it. And conditioning can be broken, not by hoping, by overriding, not by waiting, by initiating. The programming is strong, but the programmer is still you. Take back the terminal, rewrite the script, execute the new command. The system will comply. It always does. It only requires a clear, consistent, uncompromising input. Give it one. Today, not tomorrow. Today. The delay ends now. The training shifts now. The trajectory corrects now, or it does not. The choice is binary. The mechanism is indifferent. The output is yours. Decide. Let us terminate the negotiation with willpower. You have spent years treating discipline as a character trait you either possess or lack. This is a categorical error. Discipline is not a moral virtue. It is a structural output. It is the mathematical result of aligning your environment with your intention until resistance becomes statistically irrelevant. You do not need more internal force. You need fewer external escape routes. The moment you stop trying to muscle through friction and start engineering it out of existence, the game changes. You are no longer fighting your biology, you are routing around it. The architecture of control begins with a single axiom: remove the decision. Decision fatigue is not a metaphor, it is a metabolic tax. Every time you ask yourself whether to work, whether to scroll, whether to delay, you burn glucose and deplete executive bandwidth. You are spending your highest value cognitive currency on questions that should have been answered in advance. The solution is not to make better decisions in the moment. The solution is to eliminate the moment of decision entirely. You design the environment so that the desired action is the default path. You place the trigger, the tool, and the starting point in immediate reach. Choice is the enemy of consistency. Automation requires design. Apply the friction gradient. Human behavior follows the path of least resistance. This is not a flaw, it is a physical law. You can either fight this law and exhaust yourself, or you can weaponize it. You increase friction on every behavior that drains your potential. You log out of accounts. You delete saved passwords. You make escape tedious. You make distraction expensive. Simultaneously, you eliminate friction from every behavior that builds it. You leave the document open. You reduce the activation energy to zero. You are not relying on motivation. You are relying on physics. You make the right option the easiest. You make the wrong option the hardest. You stop asking for discipline. You start engineering compliance. Understand the sequence of control. External discipline precedes internal discipline. You do not wait until you feel focused to create focus. You create the conditions for focus until focus becomes familiar. You do not wait until you feel disciplined to act disciplined. You install the boundaries until the boundaries become identity. This is behavioral scaffolding. You build the structure first. The psychology follows. You treat your environment as a behavioral operating system. You patch the leaks. You close the ports. You run the protocol until the output stabilizes. At first, it will feel mechanical. It will feel rigid. This is normal. Neural pathways do not rewire overnight. They rewire through repetition under constraint. You are not suppressing yourself. You are retraining your baseline. The system will run on autopilot. But this time, the autopilot will be pointed at your trajectory, not your escape. This is the exit, not a pep talk, a blueprint. You are not broken. You are misaligned. You have been trying to solve an architectural problem with psychological tools. You have been asking a fatigued nervous system to perform high-order execution in a space optimized for leakage. Stop asking, start building. Remove the choice, complicate the escape, simplify the initiation, install the external boundaries, let the internal state catch up. The potential you think you wasted is not gone. It is dormant, waiting for a system that actually supports it. Give it one, not tomorrow, today. Not perfectly, structurally. The delay ends when the design begins. You do not find control. You construct it. And once constructed, it runs without you. It runs because you finally stopped relying on the weather and started building the house. The terminal is open. The script is written. Execute or don't. The mechanism is indifferent. The output is yours. Decide.